The Coachella Valley Water District is the subject of my conversation with John Powell, Jr. John is president of Peter Rabbit Farms in Coachella, and he is a very active participant in the preservation of our water.
Coachella Valley has a very unique geology and setup. The aquifer, which is freshwater, is tremendous. It's huge and it's protected. And essentially there's a clay layer, a cap of clay on top of our aquifer. And then there's another smaller aquifer just above that, which is not the fresh water that you want to drink. The difficulty with recharging this aquifer is that clay prevents water from percolating down into the good aquifer. It's great because it protects that fresh water, but the Coachella Valley Water District had a very hard time finding a location where you can get beneath the clay. This site does exactly that, and right behind me you see the pilot ponds that have been there for a number of years, and water was put there, and the tests revealed that this water does get into the lower aquifer. So once the Water District realized that successful recharge of that freshwater aquifer below the clay, they purchased the rest of this property, about 165 acres. This is a big construction site. They're building dozens of recharge ponds here, and what they're going to do is, and actually have started doing now, is bring this Colorado River water across the Coachella Valley. They have to pump it up just a little bit to get it here in a 48-inch pipe, and that water is going to be percolating into the protected lower aquifer through this site. We're beneficiaries of some very good planning in the Coachella Valley. This planning was brought about through necessity because back in the 19-teens, this is 1915, 1916, this is a little over 90 years ago, others, people in the Imperial Valley, were making a claim to our water. So the very few people that lived in this area back in the early 20th century decided this wasn't a good thing for our future. And they organized themselves and formed the Coachella Valley Water District. This is about 91 years ago. And the purpose of this was to protect our groundwater and our surface water, particularly the Whitewater River, from somebody else coming in and laying a claim to that. In other words, we wanted that for ourselves. This type of planning has been going on throughout the entire 20th century and into the 21st. As you might know, the state of California and western United States in general has been seeing water supplies decrease. There's been drought conditions, there is population increase, there's a lot more environmental issues that demand water, and most areas are seeing their water supplies reduced. The eastern Coachella Valley, and I'm talking about the area to the east and south of Washington Street, all the way to the Salton Sea, is actually seeing, during this time of drought and water shortage, we're actually seeing an increase in our delivered water. And this is the water that we need to run our farms, to supply our golf courses, and to supply all the homes and businesses in this end of the valley. The early pioneers, and these are the people that were mostly farmers in the Coachella Valley, and they had to dig their own wells because there was no system to deliver water to their ranches. So they, at great expense and risk, really, because you don't know what's going to happen when you dig a well, these people got together and over a period of decades and at great financial investment contracted for and built the Coachella branch of the All-American Canal. And not just the canal delivery from the Colorado River into the Coachella Valley, but an integrated distribution system that delivers water to every 40 acres of farmable land at this end of the Coachella Valley. If it were not for these early pioneers, we wouldn't have this supply of water. This desert would look a lot more like a desert. We would not have the farms, we would not have the golf courses and the beautiful homes that you see at this end of the valley. You can't just tap that water forever. You can't mine it like you're mining a gold mine, because eventually it'll run out. You need to be responsible stewards, and the only way to do that is to replace that water as you use it.
John, where are we?
We are on top of Dike 4, which is the site where the Coachella Valley Water District is recharging water in the eastern end of the Coachella Valley.
What does recharge mean? They've got a bunch of ponds here that they've got water in it, and where does this water come from?
The water that you see behind us is Colorado River water. So it's coming from those states, the watershed up in Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, and it travels all the way here through the All-American Canal and the Coachella Canal, through the Coachella Valley Water District's distribution system, and we're actually at the west end of Avenue 62, just west of Monroe Street.
How does the water get into here?
They pump it up here.
They pump it up?
It actually flows by gravity all the way until very near this site. This site's a little bit higher than the rest of this end of the valley, which makes it excellent for recharge because you need a little bit of gravity to help get it down.
You know, things like this, I mean, that's really soaking down in there. That is really taken.
Right. This water is going down.
Look at this. Look how fast. This is still damp. It's still wet, which means this is very, very recent. This must have been filled up a day or two ago, or maybe last night.
Well, when you think about it, 40,000 acre-feet a year is a lot of water, and over about there's probably going to be about 150 acres of surface out here.
What's an acre foot? See, we don't understand that. We understand a glass of water. What's an acre foot? I mean,
that's about a football field of water filled up to a foot deep.
So that's an acre foot.
Yeah, that's a lot of water.
So 1 acre, a foot deep of water. That's an acre foot. So
yes,
you're talking 40,000 acre feet.
Of those.
Wow.
Every year. And so that water is going down fast.
Which is exactly what you wanted it to do.
Exactly. You have a golf course housing development here. This is Trilogy at La Quinta. You have some farms, table grapes and other things just across the street there. And then some vegetable farms.
And a date grove.
And a date grove right there.
Date grove.
Right. So
you're surrounded by this beautiful agriculture industry. And yet
yes,
here's the water that recharges to see to it that these homes have water. The water that recharges to see to it that all this land for the farmers has water to feed the people. That it's a perfect ecological, sustainable. It's sustainability, that new buzzword today.
Right. Depleting the aquifer is not sustainable. And the reason this was built was to stop that and to actually reverse that and to get that aquifer into balance so that we can be here for another 100 years.